My name is Morris Mason. I work at Drake University. My profession is I'm a physics lab instructor, but as you can see, I have a very intense hobby of rock collecting or rock hunting. Pink one and this black one, this is called black tourmaline. And black tourmaline can be found in South Dakota, it can be found in Colorado, and maybe some other places, but I just love the black color of these rocks, and they're in different types of base rocks. Besides the black tourmaline, you can see here there's quartz. This one here, the pink rock, besides the black tourmaline, that's called feldspar, and this one right here is all by itself. This one right here is calcite, and I went to a place in Illinois near the town of Galena and went into an old railroad tunnel. And this old railroad tunnel is just lined with this calcite that's in there. So I just collected that this past year. Kind of sneak up here. This is copper. Copper is found in the upper peninsula of Michigan, on the other side of Lake Superior. I'll talk about some rocks here. But this is like a rock with the base, and sometimes you can see it and actually feel it. This right here is a little copper sticking out of there. This beautiful orange colored quartz rock is carnelian. I almost lost the name of that inside of my mind, but that's called carnelian. It's basically an orange quartz. This is called chalcedony. Very beautiful, beautiful rock with lots of different colors. Kind of an interesting texture to it. Oh boy. This is coal. At this library, I encourage you, if you ever go to the Waukee Library, they have a whole room that is dedicated to information about coal. This rock right here is obsidian, but it's a very special type of this obsidian that's called an Apache tear. That looks like it's a black rock. Well, is it really? Look at that. You can see through it. You wouldn't guess that if you were to look at these rocks. They're made of glass, and the impurities in there give them the color that you see, the black. But I find that pretty amazing that you can have these beautiful black rocks and all of a sudden you shine a light through them and they're almost transparent. This group right here, as you probably already know when you take a look at that, yes, those are agates. Agates can be found in Texas, and they can also be found along the north shore of Lake Superior up there in Minnesota. Don't you know? Yeah, you betcha. So really nice type banding. This particular rock that's on the table here, you see that's purple. This is called fluorite. And this one I did not find, but I did find this one and this one. These are two different versions of that. This is kind of a greener one, this is blue. It does come in a lot of different colors. Here I have garnets. The type of base rock that the garnets are in is called mica schist. And in this rock here, if you look, you can see some little red specks there. Those are red garnets. Here you can see them a little bit better. Also in mica schist, a little bit bigger and more pronounced. Very, very beautiful rock. And besides the red garnet, you can also have black garnets. And it's really close to that same area where you can find the red ones, but this is an example of black garnets. Next to that, we have iron pyrite, fool's gold. Many of you have probably heard of that before, and it does kind of look like gold, but nope, it's not. It's a form of iron. This also is a type of iron, and this is found up in Minnesota. They have a whole bunch of iron mines up there, and they have tailings piles that you can go through and pick up some iron. Related to that is this one here, which is magnetite. It is very, very magnetic, and I have to be careful. This particular magnet is very powerful. It comes from the hard drive of a computer. You don't want to have two of these too close to each other with a finger in between, because it can really hurt if you were to put your finger there, and you just don't want to. The thing I love about magnetite is the shape of these crystals. Look at that. Found in southern Utah, lots of it down there. This is petrified wood. You can find that down in Texas, and this, believe it or not, is a typical piece of petrified wood that you can find there. It's not hard to find at all. It's in the area of College Station, Texas, where I found this. There are selenite. Kind of talk to you a little bit about that. There's different colors. There's a clear, there's a red, kind of a yellow, even a green right here. And here's a nice little wand. And if you look at that right down the middle, it almost looks like there is a river. And sometimes you can see through that. Do kind of a test here. See if we can look through there. And oh yeah, you can see that now. See it okay with your phone? Very, very nice. And here's the monsters. Look at that. Beautiful selenite. You can also see through that. It can be very sharp, and it's very fragile. It will break apart. This one here is a piece of selenite, and it is very, very fluorescent. So I'm using a black light, and you can see all the beautiful, extremely beautiful colors you can see with the black light. Just look like, you know, I mean, they're pretty rocks, but boy, with that black light and the orange. Septarian nodule. Without and with. Quite the difference. Bigger version of that. This is a septarian nodule. Beautiful, beautiful orange crystals. And without the light, again, it's very pretty rock, but even prettier with the fluorescence. We're shifting over here. Look at this beauty. This is quartz. It comes from Arkansas. And near that place, they have lots of quartz mines that you can go to, and you can collect the quartz. One place, I believe that you just pay a flat fee in the morning, like 8, 9 o'clock. You can stay there all day, and every piece that you pick up, you can take with you. It doesn't matter how small or how big it is. And this is a really, really beautiful cluster of quartz, again, near the town of Hot Springs, Arkansas. These three rocks here are called, not septarian, PETOSKEY stones. You know, those are PETOSKEY stones, and they come from Lake Michigan, the very northern part, near the town of Leland. So really, really fun rock to find. They don't naturally look like this. I took some sandpaper and sanded that area. Roughly, it looks like that, and you could hardly even tell that would be any kind of special rock. But sometimes you can see a little bit of that poking through, and put some sandpaper to it, starting rough and then going to finer and finer and finer. This went up all the way up to, I think it's 600 or 800 grit. That makes it a very, very smooth rock, and that comes out. This right here is a rock called pumice. It is volcanic, and it's very, very lightweight. It is pretty much full of air, and that's gives it the property of being able to float. There's not too many rocks on planet Earth that float in water, but that is one of them. Pumice. I think I collected that in New Mexico. Right here, these are called rose rocks, and I think it's pretty obvious as to why. You can see that they're called rose rocks. This one is probably our best specimen of all the rose rocks that we've ever collected. It looks just like a beautiful rose. There's different shapes and sizes and orientations of the rock that make up rose rocks. Here you can see there's kind of like discs that are all fused together, and it's more than one rose rock. This is a beautiful double one. You can kind of see there's one at that end, one over here. Here's a triple, and maybe some people would even say that's more than 3. It could even be 4. This one, you can see those layers coming through. There's another one with those kind of look like discs. I guess if you look at it long enough, you could probably even see a face in that one. Eyes, nose, and a mouth. And they come in all different sizes. This one right here is a beautiful, beautiful, very, very small version of a rose rock. And all of these rose rocks can be found near the town of Norman, Oklahoma. So as a special treat for all the people that get registered, you're going to get a rose rock. This is a whole bag of rose rocks. You would be given one of these, and they're similar to the ones that I showed earlier, but they all have ridges on there. Most of them are kind of round. In addition to that, we have some small pieces of selenite that they will get from this bag here, and I'm hoping that everyone will be able to get a little piece. The part you're going to see here is all about geodes. The geodes that I collected here are from 3 different states that are close together. We have Iowa, Missouri, which is directly underneath, and then over in Illinois. All three of those areas within a 50-mile radius of Keokuk, Iowa, that is the place to look for geodes. I was turned on to geodes by a book. This book from 1979, the author is Stefan Zanatti, and it's called Those Fabulous Keokuk Geodes. And in here, this person gives an extremely detailed information about these different types of geodes, how they're made. There's pictures. Let's skip over to the end, because you would think at the end, well, not too much going on there. There is in this book. Check this out. This is what really got me going for going out to collect geodes. And I have to do this kind of carefully, but there's a fold-out map in the back of this book that shows exactly where he went to find all these different geodes. And if you look at this, X marks the spot, that's where he found it. So anyway, all this stuff kind of emanates from having this particular book, how geodes are made, but generally speaking, they are probably cavities that developed that were like bubbles of air or whatever, and they were lined with particular chemicals, and there's also probably fractures coming to that point to allow water that had minerals in there so that these crystals could start growing. The crystals for all of these geodes, it starts in that very shell, and then it works itself towards the middle. Of course, it can't be the other way. But you can see that some of these geodes are full, some are pretty empty, and there's all different colors and types of rocks that are in there. Most people that are not into geodes, they may have seen a picture or two of them, and they think that they are made of clear crystals. You would think that maybe that's the only type of geode that there is. But clearly you can see there's more types of geodes than that. And we'll work our way from this side of the table over to that way. This geode right here has a white crystal in there, and I can't pronounce the name of it, kaolite. The types of crystals in there, they're kind of a mixture of round ones and cubed ones. And both the round ones have a special, fantastic name for that, and the square ones. And if you want to find out more about that, you can look it up on the internet. But anyway, this is a very, very pretty white lined geode that is not necessarily just clear quartz. In front of that, we have some geodes here that have yellow inside of them. That is a form of quartz, and I'm just going to call it yellow quartz. Here is another beautiful geode that has some orange crystals and some black crystals, and the light sparkling off those crystals is very, very pleasant to look at. This geode here has a big cavity in there, and you may not be able to see it, but sometimes when you're going out and if you get in a place where there's lots of geodes, you can see some of the geodes that are already partially opened, and it can tell you whether or not you want to pick that geode up and keep it. Another beautiful geode here has some yellow crystals in there. They're mostly quartz, and I believe the yellow color comes from iron. The iron gave it that particular kind of color in there. This geode right here, because of its coloring on the outside, it might have oil in it. And you probably already snuck a peek at some of these that do have oil in there. Most of the oil geodes come from Geode, Illinois. And if we just kind of zoom in on those, I have some examples of geodes that have oil or did have oil in them. They've cracked and a little bit of them has dried up. And the ones that already still have some oil in them, I kept them in the bag because it would spill all over the place. When I crack these geodes open, the smell, it smells like tar. It's kind of like going to an amusement park that has asphalt, and sometimes in the middle of summer it has a very particular smell to it. That's what these smell like or remind me of. There's big ones, there's small ones, there's some that have a lot more or had a lot more oil in them. Where the oil came from, I really couldn't tell you, and how it got in there. It had to have some sort of a crack, and then oil must have came in there. I did not find this one, but it's very worthwhile to show. This is called celestite, and celestite is known throughout the metaphysical community as one of the very, very powerful and very beautiful types of stones. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a large celestite geode in Ohio that you can go to, and you can actually go inside of it. That's how big it is. So a pretty nice example of that. As we're moving around here, here's another really spectacular dish. Geode has the yellow crystals in there, and just words almost don't describe how beautiful this rock is. This is the matching pair geode. It did look like this, and I want to bring up this topic here. I mean, look at this rock. You know, if you didn't know anything about geodes and you saw this, it's like, just a rock. You know, very kind of plain, not even real pretty, but there's a theme in here. Don't judge people. You don't know. You look on the outside, they might be a little bit dirty or bumpy or whatever, but look, they might be like that on the inside. So that is a really, really nice sort of thing to talk about when it comes to people and rocks. And something I want to point out here at this moment is that don't make the assumption that all geodes are round. This is a geode, and it's kind of flat, very unusual shape. And I didn't break it open, but when I was looking for the geodes, sometimes you'll find geodes like this that are already cracked. And of course, if it's showing the crystals, then you know for sure, hey, there's a geode. So something to keep in mind. Here is a couple of pieces of a geode that had calcite in there. And these are really very pretty chunks of calcite. And just a small portion of whatever that geode looked like when it was really big. And we got some down here that are classified as snowballs. I hope that makes perfect sense to you. You can see that this one is probably very solid inside, of course, and it's got that crystal that's exposed there that's kind of round. Here's another one, real nice, what I call snowball geode. A little bit different coloring. Here's a geode that is completely solid when it was not broken open. Of course, looked like that. And there you can see where it was hit with the hammer, and it was probably a pretty substantial blow. The ones that are solid are a lot harder to break open. So if you're breaking a geode and using a hammer and a chisel and it's becoming really, really very hard to do, you can almost be pretty certain that it's going to be solid. And sometimes the solidness doesn't have to be all white. It can end up to be like that. Beautiful pink calcite and some other blue rock in there that is probably quartz. And wow, this is a really very, very nice geode. And it's one I picked up here. It's what I call a double geode, but it has something else that I hope will be kind of exciting to you. If you're going out to look for geodes and you're looking to see whether or not a geode has a cavity in it or it doesn't, sometimes you can shake them. Can you hear that? There's crystals inside of there, and because you can hear them shaking, you know for sure that does have a cavity. So that's a really good indication. Here's another spectacular geode that has some really nice, smooth, rounded crystals on the inside, not your typical geode color.
So I have a question. When you find these, sometimes they're together. So do you do the process then of splitting them open, and how does that all work?
Let's go outside. Let's take a geode. Let's break it right now. Okay, we're gonna crack open a geode here in a little bit. When I first got into this umpteen years ago, went to a rock shop, and the lady behind the counter, I asked her, I said, how do you know where to crack a geode? And she looked at me without pretty much batting an eye, and she said, you pick the rock up and it will tell you where to break it. And what she meant was, and she kind of said this too, is to look for a larger crack inside of the rock. And I'm gonna look at a couple of these and see if I can find one that's really obvious. This one isn't too bad. I think if we take a look at this rock, kind of roll it around, you can see that there's some cracks in there, and some might stand out and say, hey, I think this right here is a place for you to consider to open up this geode. So we're going to do that right now. This crack right here, we're going to set it in with the other rock so it has a really nice base to it. No, so safety glasses, it's a must, because again, you don't know what's going to happen here. Oh, come on. Wow, that's a stubborn one. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, ooh, look at that. Look at that. Here we go. It's not a full cavity, but it's got some little voids in there. And boy, look at all those quartz crystals. Isn't that beautiful? And it worked. It worked. I just chose a crack on the top there, hit it with a hammer, and there it goes. I gotta try this one. So get the glasses back on, safety glasses. Take another look. Yeah, yep. So I'm thinking right here. There's a pretty good crevice right there, and then it's giving us a little hint that it might be filled with oil. If this one is filled with oil, this will be a really spectacular video. No promises, but I sure hope that's what is going to happen. So put it right there. Tap it a couple times to make sure it's nice and solid. The base is, so I can whack on it pretty hard. Yep. Okay, here it goes. Oh! Wow. Okay. Well, it wasn't filled with oil, but it's got some hints that maybe at one time there was some oil in there. So you got the quartz, probably lined up with old oil, and there's even a little void right down here. And you know, if we were to look at that with a real bright light and stuff like that, there might be I don't think it's liquid oil, but it's more the black stuff. All right, here we are. We're too close to the end of the table here, and I got a story to tell you. Once upon a time, Mr. Mason and his pastor friend went down to the Fox River, which is in Missouri. And we knew that from being there before, we could find some really big geodes. This one I found and brought it home, and it was solid. And it was cold. I left it outside overnight. There must have been some water in there, because the water cracked the geode without me doing that, and there was ice inside of here. I was so excited to see this, and I wasn't sure when I first opened it up what that stuff was on the inside, but I touched it, it was very cold, and thought, oh, it's ice. So I got some hot water, put the hot water in there, and that cavity just got deeper and deeper and deeper for both sides here, and this is one of my absolute favorite geodes that I have in my collection. It's pretty big, almost about a foot in diameter. And we shift over here to our very last geode that I'm going to show you. You can see that this one is pretty substantially even larger than that. I did weigh this. It's about 65 pounds. And yes, this used to be, if I can get this right, one solid rock. And this one's pretty easy to tell. I mean, if you look at this and look at the bulbous things, like, oh wow, look at that. That's pretty interesting. And it was very interesting also when I got the hammer and the chisel and cracked it open. So definitely one of the largest geodes that I have in my collection. Mostly filled with quartz. All right, I think that's about it, except for at the very end here. I did bring some extra geodes that I'm going to leave here at the library, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be part of the package of rocks that I'm giving the people that sign up for this class. So I got some geodes, we got the other rocks, the rose rocks, and the selenite rocks. I think between those three, a lot of people are going to have some fun with those rocks that I'm giving away. I hope that you had some fun and learned a little bit about all the different rocks that are in my collection.